wanted to stay until most people left. Together we walked toward a side table where the family photos hung. Pictures of smiling faces looked back at us, but the polished image no longer matched what everyone had just heard. An aunt joined us and said she finally understood why I had seemed distant in recent years. She promised to keep in touch and to stay neutral if things turned messy in the coming weeks. Another cousin offered a small smile and said he supported whatever boundaries I chose to set. Outside, the sound of a car door slamming echoed across the parking lot. Margaret must have returned because a few minutes later the entrance door opened again. She walked back in, face composed but eyes cold. She moved to the dessert table without a glance at me, slicing a piece of pie as if nothing had happened. Conversations dimmed as people watched. Dennis came in behind her, silent and subdued. They stayed near the back of the room, speaking only to each other. The rest of the reunion never regained its festive tone. Guests lingered in small groups, exchanging quiet thoughts. Some cousins offered to help me pack up food. A neighbor who had always praised my parents stopped by to say goodbye, her voice soft and careful. When the evening wound down, only close relatives remained. Ethan helped me gather the leftover dishes. Julia folded the tablecloths while a few aunts carried trays to their cars. Margaret and Dennis left without saying a word, their polished image cracked for everyone to see. As the last guests drifted out into the night, the hall felt different, still filled with family photos and decorations, but no longer controlled by the perfect picture my parents had built. The recordings had done what words never could, leaving the truth in plain sound for everyone to hear. The hall thinned out as the night stretched on. Small groups of relatives drifted toward the exit, voices lowered as they whispered about the recordings. Chairs scraped across the polished wood floor. The smell of coffee and leftover desserts mixed with the cool air sliding in from the lake. I stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. The lake shimmered under the moonlight, and the steady sound of water hitting the dock filled the quiet. Ethan followed a few moments later, his shoes crunching on the gravel path. He stopped beside me and spoke with a calm urgency, apologizing for years of brushing off my concerns. He admitted he thought the teasing was harmless and now understood how long the manipulation had been there. Two of my aunts came out soon after. They each placed a hand on my arm and said they regretted doubting me all these years. They promised to stay neutral, but made it clear they would be present if mediation or a family meeting became necessary. Their voices stayed low, but the weight of their words felt solid. Near the parking lot, Margaret stood by her car. Her phone was pressed to her ear, but no sound came from it. She glanced our way, then turned her back, pretending to listen to an imaginary caller. Dennis hovered near the hall's side door for a while, then walked toward us. He stopped a few feet away and asked if we could move past everything. His words came without any actual apology, only a suggestion to smooth things over. I set a clear boundary. I told him there would be no further conversation until he and Margaret gave an honest apology. Dennis shifted on his feet, nodded once without meeting my eyes, and walked back toward the car. Inside, a few cousins lingered by the dessert table. When I returned, they stepped closer and quietly shared their own memories of Margaret's subtle digs at past gatherings. One cousin described a Christmas dinner where Margaret dismissed her promotion at work as a lucky break. Another recalled a summer barbecue when Dennis joked about someone else's parenting in a way that stung for weeks. They each said the reunion recordings only confirmed what they had long suspected. Neighbors who had once admired my parents began leaving quietly. One couple who regularly praised their elegant dinners lipped out without saying goodbye. Another neighbor, usually the life of every gathering, walked past with a tight nod and no smile. The admiration that had always surrounded Margaret